You riding up on houses and having one-night stand in cars and just making babies like they muffin. That doesn't mean you're not engaging in the behavior that could lead to you having more. Because you say you only have one son, but you may have a daughter today.
If you're looking for horrible parents, then this is the right place for you. Ms. Jackson appeared in court, claiming that the defendant, Mr. Willimus, was nothing short of a useless man. She claimed that the results would prove he was the father, and she wanted him to take responsibility. The case began like this.
Ms. Jackson, you claim Mr. Williams is a good-for-nothing man who would rather ignore his responsibilities than take care of his 9-month-old daughter, Amani. You say the DNA test will prove Mr. Williams is your daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, you claim you made a huge mistake by having a one-night stand with the plaintiff. You say Ms. Jackson is a promiscuous nuisance who is trying to ruin your life, and there is no way you are her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Jackson, what do you mean by good-for-nothing man?
Mr. Williams knows this baby is his.
Mr. Williams better have some serious evidence to back up his claim. That baby is too adorable not to have a father. The judge then turned to Ms. Jackson, asking her to share the story of their relationship. And let me tell you, it's a tale you won't see coming.
What happened on May 28th of 2016?
Well, that was Memorial Day weekend, Your Honor. I had been drinking, and so was Mr. Williams. He contacted me on Facebook, asked me what I was doing. I told him I was just chilling. He asked me, could he come through?
That's a lie, Your Honor. She contacted me on Facebook.
He contacted me on Facebook and asked me what was I doing. I told him I was just chilling. He said he was in the area. I told him to come through. So I got in the car with him. We went to talking, and one thing led to another. We had sex.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Did you use protection?
No, Your Honor.
Oh. So, you have sex? Is this a relationship that continued after that? Did you all say...
Well, it looks like it was a one-time freaky encounter. There was no romantic relationship after they kicked it in bed. Now, when Ms. Jackson noticed she had missed her cycle, she picked up her phone and told Mr. Jackson, and he told her he would call her back. Guess what? He never did.
And so I reached out to Mr. Williams on Facebook to let him know that it was late. So he brushed me off and said he was gonna call me back, never called back.
So you hadn't talked to him since the car?
Yes.
He said he's gonna call you right back and never called you back?
Never called me back.
Did you do that, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. I did not call her back. She been blowing my phone up. Blowing my phone off through the Facebook app because she never had my phone number. Saying that her cycle didn't come on and things in that nature.
But you had sex with her without protection, right?
Everybody else did too, right?
Everybody else? Everybody else like who? Who is everybody else?
Well, who is
everybody else?
I want to know, like Ms. Jackson, who is everybody else?
She know who everybody else is.
Your Honor, after the fact of me telling him that my cycle was late.
Wow, I can't believe he just said that in an open courtroom. Who does that? Even though what he said was out of manner, the judge decided to ask him what he meant when he claimed there were other men in the mix, and this was how he broke it down to the judge.
I contacted him again when I found out that I was actually pregnant. He blocked me on Facebook.
So as you're trying to reach him to say, hey, we had unprotected sex, I found out I'm pregnant, you could be a potential father, he's blocking you on Facebook.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
you don't have his phone number.
No, Your
So
Honor.
what do you do?
I created a fake page.
Create a fake page.
Pages.
A fake page and reached out to him again.
Pages.
To let him know that I was indeed pregnant.
And did you ever get any response?
No.
So you were
Fake page.
ignoring this.
Yes, fake pages, and I don't allow disrespect. You calling me about something and you disrespecting me, that's a no-no.
He definitely didn't want anything to do with the child if he went that far. Judge Lauren then went on to ask him why he blocked her and ignored all her messages when she knew she was pregnant. He claimed the whole thing looked shady and she just wanted money.
After she started hitting me up on these fake pages, disrespecting me, talking about what I need to do, she kept saying, the baby ain't much here yet. Then she talking about child support. I'm like, child support? And you just said you were pregnant? So she looking for a handout.
And so you felt like she was chasing you down about the baby because she needed support for the baby, and you felt like she was targeting you.
Yeah, she was targeting me, reason being, she stated that she had sex with another dude right the next gay behind me. So, and then once she told me that, I said, why are you chasing me down about...
How did you find out she had sex with another man?
She told me. She told me.
What happened? Tell me the story.
She was like, Eric, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Wow, so Ms. Jackson also has some secrets she's hiding? I don't know about you, but this case is about to get really intense. Before Mr. Williams was done explaining his side of the story, Ms. Jackson cut him shut and called him a liar by saying this.
I called him, yes, and I did tell him that I was with somebody else.
The day after?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you didn't use protection?
No, Your Honor.
So did you tell this other man you were pregnant as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell this other man it could potentially be his baby as well?
No, Your Honor.
Did you put this other man on child support?
No, Your Honor.
So why is it you're choosing Mr. Williams?
Because this man hasn't gotten anyone pregnant and doesn't have any kids.
We have to go by the facts. And the fact is, if it has not been proven that the other man is unable to father children, you've never been provided any medical information about this other man?
The judge is right on that one. There's a high chance the other man could also be the father of the baby. Now, this is where things get crazy. Apparently, Ms. Jackson told the other man he was the father of the child and decided to put Mr. Williams' name on child support. Imagine that.
So you put Mr. Williams on child support, but the other man's family helps you with the child?
Yes, Your Honor.
What you up to?
I just went with whoever was gonna stand up, Your Honor.
No, you went with both. You didn't go with one or the other. You got Mr. Williams on the hook talking about child support for him. Did you go down to the child support office?
Yes, I
and
did.
And gave him his name?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
So you playing two sides of this particular field.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so have you been responsible for child support all the time?
Like I was the only name that was on the sheet.
So Ms. Jackson, when you went to the child support office, why is it you only put Mr. Williams' name on the paperwork?
Damn, she was trying to play both men. Now, that is just heartless of Ms. Jackson. Hearing her say that, the judge was getting furious that both Ms. Jackson and Mr. Williams were playing games with the life of an innocent child.
And I hope it makes some sense, because neither one of you all got any sense right now. This little faulty logic y'all living off of is a hot mess.
A couple of months into my pregnancy, I had got a phone call from a friend asking me, did I see the post that Mr. Williams had posted on Facebook? I told her no. So we got off the phone, I went on Facebook, and I see he posted a baby shower invitation with him and another woman who was pregnant at the time.
So you had another woman pregnant at the same time Ms. Jackson was pregnant?
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? This right here, this is just messy. It's messy. Now you got one woman pregnant.
Yeah.
So that means this rendezvous you had with Ms. Jackson is nothing new for you.
Oh, Judge Lauren is pissed, all right. Anyway, let's bring their charade of bad parenting to a close, shall we? The results are in, and the judge is ready to reveal who the biological father of the child is.
Mr. Williams, you are the father.
I told you. I told you.
You said you don't mind no child support, so
don't,
we're not gonna have any problems.
It won't have no problems.
Good.
I apologize for everything dealing with the situation at hand. I'll make sure I take my responsibility as a man and take care of money.
Good. And you have to understand, when you create a situation where you can potentially make a child, when the woman then is pursuing you and you are avoiding her purposefully, you are not just running from that woman. In that instance, you were running for your own child. And Ms. Jackson, that behavior, Ms. Jackson, running around having sex, anybody tell you you cute and you letting them pull your,
In this situation, the plaintiff, Ms. Vanmetre, told the judge that she wanted to prove to the defendant, Mr. Watkins, that he was the father of her child. She hoped that the results would prove that he was the father and that she could save her relationship. The case began like this.
Ms. Vanmetre, after a recent medical scare, you realized it is imperative that you prove to the defendant that he is the biological father of your 3-year-old son, DeCedre, so you can put his name on the birth certificate. You are hopeful today's results will help save your family. Mr. Watkins, you say your paternity doubt has destroyed your relationship with the plaintiff, and when the results prove you are not the father, you are gone forever. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Vanmetre, what is the current status of your relationship?
We are not in a relationship. We just live together at the moment.
Okay.
We broke up because of the simple fact that I cheated.
Is there a reason he is still in the relationship? I guess we'll find out. Despite the fact that she cheated, Mr. Watkins was nothing short of a good father to the child. He claimed he grew up without a father and was not going to let the child go through the same thing.
Also, I play father to her other child that doesn't have a father in her life, so I'm taking care of the whole crew.
And I understand that and I respect that. But it's just like, he makes me feel like it's a financial thing of why he has stayed. And it's not, because we're going to be okay. And I mean, I think he can still father my child even if he's outside of the house.
So, Mr. Watkins, what I want to understand from you is it's bigger than I'm just staying in the house because this child needs to have a father.
Right, because I found out she cheated, and that's what, like, I didn't understand why. Because I felt like we're all adults. If you want to be in a relationship, you're gonna be in one. If you don't want to be in one, you don't.
Okay, well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, as they say.
Moving on, the judge decided to ask Mr. Watkins how everything went down the drain and how he found out that Ms. Vanmetre had cheated on him. Trust me, the explanation he gave left everyone in the courtroom speechless. Even the judge wasn't expecting it.
I saw her on the couch texting, but I could clearly see what she's doing. She's texting and deleting messages. She's like, oh, I was just talking to my friend. What you deleting messages for? Then she pretty much was arguing about it, the fact of what she was saying, and I was like, you wasn't saying that because you deleted them. So I left just to cool down because I don't like sticking around arguing about nothing. So I was coming back. One of her family picked me up and told me that they saw her outside in the car doing what she was doing with the dude.
What?
Yeah.
You said doing what she's doing?
Pretty much she was having sex in the back of the car.
Ms. Vanmetre, are you in the car with the guy you were texting?
Yeah, but it was because he was leaving, and I was telling him bye at first.
So,
He came on to me, and it just ended up.
Wow, she doesn't even deny it. Someone needs to give her an ass whooping, trust me. Here is another mind-blowing revelation. Ms. Vanmetre had already told Mr. Watkins about the man she had slept with, claiming he was just a friend. What she left out was that the friend was her ex-boyfriend.
You said it was a friend, right? But that person that you claim to be as your friend was the person that you said that you dated a while back.
A long time ago.
So
we
it was
didn't-
never a friend. So you was on the phone with your ex texting, deleting
but
messages.
see, this is the part that always happens like this, because it's always that okie doke where it's like, it's just my friend. And that's why in this courtroom, we always ask, have you ever been intimate with that person?
No, Your
Because
Honor.
you had never been intimate with that
No.
person in the past?
No, me and him.
So the first time you ever had sex with that person was in the car?
Yes.
I thought Mr. Watkins just testified that this was a person that used to date previously.
It didn't date him. When I talked to him, it was just talking.
For some reason, I'm just not buying Ms. Vanmetre's story. After a week of her sexual encounter with the other guy, she finds out she is pregnant. She then went on to tell the judge that she could recall using protection while kicking it in bed. Mr. Watkins told the judge that it was a cap.
Mr. Watkins, you
No,
seem like
she
you
told
don't
me
believe
she
that.
didn't use it. She told me she didn't use it. And then she
I
told
told
me
you
she
I did
did
not
use
remember.
it. She said
If
she
I
didn't
did, but I
remember.
did.
Then she said she didn't. Then she did. Then she said she did. So there you see where my doubts come from.
So, Mr. Watkins, the truth is you believe this man she had the encounter with in the car, could be DeCedre's true biological father.
Right.
Do you have any additional doubt or evidence?
I don't really have a bond with him. Like, I love him, but every time I see him, I just see him the same way I see her daughter. Is, you know, those are her kids. So I just see him as just a cute kid. He's cute and he's awesome.
You honestly can't blame Mr. Watkins for feeling that way. He might love the kid, but that doubt just can't disappear into the wind. Ms. Vanmetre told the judge that after he found out that she had cheated on him, she told him that he didn't have to stay, but for some reason, he decided to be there for the kids.
Yeah, and
Surrounding the timeline is real.
I know that, and I told him that, and I respected that, and I told him he didn't have to stay. He has chose to stay. He was there during the whole birth. He was there. He cut my son's umbilical cord.
But Ms. Vanmetre, have you ever told the other guy he potentially was DeCedre's biological father?
I ran into him when my son was 3 months old, and he asked me if I ever found out if my son was his or not, and I told him that I did because I didn't want him involved, just because I want him to be the dad, because my son acts just like him.
He acts like me because he's around me. He's gonna take up things from me.
But he looks.
But I want to understand this though.
She lied to the other guy because she wanted Mr. Watkins to be the father of her child. Wow. Of course, the judge talked some sense into her head. In trying to defend herself, she said she did what she did because she loved him and wanted the relationship to work.
Trail.
Because I love him and I do want our relationship to work. It's not like that I don't care if he leaves or not, because it would hurt me. It really would. I do love him and I care about him, but I don't want him to feel like he's
So the truth is, you do want your relationship to work.
Yes, I do.
And you do want him to be the father of your child, not just in deed, right?
Yeah.
But in name as well.
Yeah.
In biology.
Yes.
And you're hoping that these paternity results will save the relationship.
That
Where?
and because I had a scare about my cancer and I had a biopsy done. At the end of the day, if something happens to me, I want my son to know who his dad is because I want him.
Wonderful speech, but it does not erase the fact that the child has 2 possible fathers. Anyway, the only way out of this cheating scandal was to reveal the DNA results. Is the ex-boyfriend the father, or is Mr. Watkins the father?
Mr. Watkins, you are the father.
All right. Ooh, that's my boy right there. No wonder he's so damn bad.
That's funny. I've never heard that. But Mr. Watkins, I'm so glad DeCedre will have his daddy in his life, and you will be able to be there, and most importantly, be able to break the generational curse that you spoke about when you first began to testify in this courtroom. That you had made up your mind you were going to be the father you did not have, right?
Right.
And not only be the father, but be, so you know from this moment forward, he's taking his cues from you.
If he takes it from you, he'll be a hell of a man.
Ms. Brewton here admitted to sleeping with both her boyfriend and ex-boyfriend, and now they both want to be the baby daddy. And that got hot. Judge Lauren Lake as mad as you've ever seen her. And here is how it all began.
Ms. Brewton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that
yes,
correct?
Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Brewton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Brewton kept the baby from you in hopes that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you.
Yes, Your Honor.
For some reason, Ms. Brewton seems to be quite sure that her boyfriend is the father of her baby. But the ex-boyfriend wasn't going to let Ms. Brewton sell that story to the judge. He claimed he remembered being intimate with her around the window of conception. He started by saying this.
Salome.
Yeah, by looks alone.
But Mr. Martin, you disagree.
Yes, because I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might say I didn't have it as many times she said I did, but I know it's a fact. And
No.
it's 99.7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is mine.
No, Your Honor. We only had unprotected sex twice.
No.
That's it.
Your Honor.
Twice.
Your Honor.
In my
said
apartment twice.
Your Honor, it was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the car.
The
You
show
know it
ended.
only takes one time anyway.
Yes, it only
yes.
takes
All
one
right.
time.
So you say this is your child, Mr. Martin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, that's a really harsh thing to do, Ms. Brewton. She made him happy about the pregnancy and then pulled a fast one on him by vanishing into the air. But here's the crazy thing. Ms. Brewton was not sure who the father of her child could be. So what did she do? She decided to tell both of them that they could both be the father of the child.
Hey, I'm pregnant and you're the father?
First of all, I called both of them because I wasn't for sure who was the father because I slept with both of them around the same time.
Okay, so you do admit his
Yes.
testimony is true.
Yes.
Take me back. I want to understand this relationship. So how do you get to the point where you're in the relationship with Mr. Richardson, but you're having sex unprotected with Mr. Martin?
Okay, me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our ups and downs in our relationship. And so when I met Mr. Martin, I confided him as a friend, and then our friendship grew into a sexual relationship.
There's no denying it now. Ms. Brewton was the one who stepped out of line in the relationship. But there's more truth to be told. Apparently, Mr. Martin wasn't being so truthful with his side of the story. The judge asked him if he wanted to be in a relationship with Ms. Brewton, and the answer he gave was breathtaking. Here's what he had to say.
You were just the go-to guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get
were
somebody
trying to get
pregnant
her
that you
pregnant.
didn't want to be in a relationship
Yeah,
with?
but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you just gonna go out and just make a baby with anybody?
No, not with anybody, but
that's
I
what
gotta
you're
get. But I
saying?
gotta get to know you though.
Okay, but you're not even in a relationship with her.
No.
No.
Nor do you want to be in a relationship.
No.
No, Your
But
Honor.
you're going to go make a baby. You want to purposefully make a baby with her.
That's when
Yes.
And how old are you?
19.
19 years old.
One thing is for sure, Mr. Martin just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. The window of conception hits the table, and both Ms. Brewton and Mr. Martin can't seem to agree on the days they were intimate with each other. Miss Brewton claimed it was a certain date, while baby daddy claimed she wasn't telling the truth.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
not
it is true. We
So
only
not
had
true.
sex twice.
Listen, that's so not true.
You're disputing those days?
Yeah, yes,
What?
yes.
When
I'm
do you
not
say
disputing.
you were intimate?
Before the 7th, it was like on the 5th maybe. That was the first
That's
time.
only
that
So
was-
you're
Okay.
saying
I'm
you were
saying-
intimate with her before and after this
Yeah,
date of
before-
conception?
yeah,
well,
yeah,
let's
Honor.
just be certain. What she has already testified to puts you in the window of conception regardless.
Yes.
So in many ways, you in there.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are a possible father of this child.
I don't know who he think he slept with more than twice, but it sure wasn't me. We only had sex twice.
Sneaky little Ms. Brewton. She cheated and kept it a secret from her boyfriend? Wow, could it get any worse? Anyway, Ms. Brewton claimed that it was her boyfriend who was by her side throughout the pregnancy. She claimed Mr. Martin was a pain in her ass, and all he tried to do was ruin her relationship with her boyfriend.
So who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up me and Mr. Richardson's relationship.
I didn't.
And I
But
want
when
Mr.
you told him he was a potential father,
Yes.
wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to
Yeah, he
Dr.
tried, but I've tried to. I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't seeing it.
At first she did. I was trying to do that, but then after them 2 weeks, she just disappeared. It was like nothing else.
Where did you go?
She just.
Well,
stopped
I was
answering
just.
the phone.
I just wasn't answering the phone. Every time he'd come see a family member of mine, I wouldn't be around it because I didn't want to see him or have nothing to do with him.
At least she isn't denying shutting Mr. Martin out of the picture, but it gets tricky. Ms. Brewton allowed her boyfriend to sign the birth certificate because she wanted him to be the father, or as she put it, she believed and hoped he was the father. Even till this moment, she doesn't know if her boyfriend is actually the father of her child.
Because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
Just self.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the
Yes.
birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Both. So now he's legally responsible for this child.
Yes, not
When you
Mr.
sign a birth certificate, you are acknowledging paternity and you are taking responsibility legally for this child. And now you're in paternity court with another man that says he's also this child's father, and the reason why he believes that is because you told him.
Father because he wants kids so bad, but
Well, the case is not going to get any messier than this. Judge Lauren isn't going to sit around and watch these guys argue all day. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the DNA results. Is Mr. Martin going to end up being the father of the child?
Mr. Richardson, you are not the father.
What?
Mr. Martin,
I told you.
what?
I told you.
you are the father.
I told you. I knew what it was.
No, that is not possible.
I
That
know
is
they
not
lying.
possible.
I know they lying. I
That
knew
is
this.
not
I knew
possible.
this. I knew this.
I want to
Your Honor,
retest.
Mr.
my
Martin,
case is
you
red.
are
My
the
case is
father.
red.
No,
So
that is not possible.
we need to get something.
He don't look
functioning
nothing
with
like
the-
him,
with
so
the
how
birth
is he the
certificate.
father?
Ms. Brewton, I realize you thought you were playing a game of chess, but the DNA is not a game.
Let's just say these two are the worst parents on the planet. Ms. Adams claimed to be in a love triangle, and now the defendant, Mr. Spencer, no longer believes he fathered her twins. She claimed she was beyond certain that he was the father of her twins, and she was going to prove it. She began her case like this.
Ms. Adams, you say you were caught in a love triangle, and now the defendant doesn't believe he fathered your 13-month-old twins, Kamarian and Kamariana. You testify that you are 100% certain he is and plan to prove it today in court. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Spencer, you say the plaintiff needs to make up her mind about who her children's father is. You state that another man was claiming the babies were his. You say when the results reveal you are not the father, you plan to cut off all communication. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was sleeping with two different men at the same time. Wow. Here is the thing. She claimed that she was initially in a relationship, and when that went south, Mr. Spencer was the shoulder to cry on. For them, it was not a romantic situation at all.
All right, so were you and Mr. Spencer in a committed relationship?
No.
No. And so, Mr. Spencer, you agree with this testimony? You met Ms. Adams. You all started having a sexual relationship. You didn't use protection.
Yes, sir.
But
yes,
you
Your Honor.
weren't in a committed relationship.
No, we weren't.
So, did you know whether or not at that time she was also intimate with anybody else?
No, I didn't.
Miss Adams, were you intimate with anybody else during that time?
No, I was not.
So how soon after you broke up with your ex did you meet Mr. Spencer?
I'll say like about 2.5 months later.
All right. So during this window of time you were intimate with Mr. Spencer, you were not dealing with your ex at all?
No, I was not.
At least she did not deny that she was intimate with both Mr. Spencer and her ex-boyfriend. Now, when she found out she was pregnant because she believed Mr. Spencer was the father, she told one of his family members about the pregnancy.
What did you tell?
I told a family member of Markeith Spencer that I was currently pregnant and that I need to speak with him immediately.
So you told Mr. Spencer's family member?
Yes.
And you were confident at that time that Mr. Spencer was your child's biological father?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Spencer, your family member informed you that Ms. Adams was pregnant?
Yeah, she called me and then she told me like that Miss Adams was pregnant or whatever. Then I called and checked with her, like, you know, the confirmation to make sure like this was what I was hearing. Then, you know, we just like, we talked about like her pregnancy, how she got pregnant, how this was possible, how it happened.
And so
For some reason, it's not surprising that she did not mention the possibility of another father in the mix. When she gave birth to the twins, her ex's mom caught wind of the pictures of the babies and told her the babies were her grandkids because they looked like her son.
But what happened, the way that my ex came into the picture is because once I had the babies, the pictures went out on the internet, and that's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies. They look just like my son.
Oh. And so once she said that, had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all
Never.
this time? Never.
Never. I was starting to hear it so much, and I was getting so many phone calls from like my ex side of the family and everything about the boy, Kamarion. They were saying he looked like my ex and everything. So it got to the point where I'm just like, whoa, I never thought that Marquis was not the father, but then...
The ex's mom sure wants those twins to be her grandbabies. Judge Lauren then decided to ask Mr. Spencer when and how he found out that the babies he once believed to be his were no longer his. This was the explanation he gave to the judge.
It was like probably a couple months after I was away, you know, I've been going, you know, I talked to her, kept in contact with her the whole time, like her pregnancy or whatever, we talked, you know, she was, you know, writing me letters and stuff saying like how these was my kids, how she wanted me to come home, be a family with her, stuff like that, you know. And then the communication was changing, like her attitude was changing, everything. So I kind of knew it was like either you back messing with Mitchell or there's something going on, because you having an attitude more, like you ain't really keeping me up to date with these kids, and like it was like...
So you noticed it?
Yeah, like I kind of knew the change, so I kind of knew it was like somebody else in the picture. Like it was then they told me like...
Wow, she must really love her ex. While Mr. Spencer was away, he caught wind of pictures of the twins and her ex's mom, in which she claimed that the baby belonged to her ex-boyfriend. As you would expect, Ms. Adams denied the whole thing when he confronted her.
But you were at a place where you decided you were going to race Mr. Spencer out the picture.
Yes,
Because you
yes.
didn't want the drama.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Spencer, when this was happening, did you realize she was just trying to cut you out, or did you feel like she had determined you weren't the child's biological father and so she was just moving on?
When I was away, my ex sent me pictures of Khristian Page, and I seen pictures of her tagging Mitchell mom as her grandkids. So I was like, and you telling me this whole time these was my kids.
And what did she say?
She was like, oh, I ain't tell them that. Mitchell just automatically assumed these was his kids. She told me that, you know, like he automatically came back and was like, oh, them my kids, I'm gonna be taking care of them kids.
Oh well, Judge Lauren dropped a bomb in the courtroom. She told both Mr. Spencer and Ms. Adams that the ex's mom was out back waiting to tell her side of the story. Trust me, it came as a shock to both of them. When the ex's mom walked in, this was what she told the judge.
Yes.
And I have to ask you, do you believe these are your son's biological children?
Yes, I do.
Please explain to the court.
The first week that they was born, Khristian mom called me. So she said, by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these pictures. Something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, oh my God. So I went looking for some of Mitchell's baby pictures, and I started sending them through the family. And the family like, oh my God, these Mitchell's babies. So as I talked to Khristian, are you sure? We just left here at the end of December. You said you met Marquis in February.
Wow, now that certainly complicates the whole situation. Well, there is only one way out of this mess. The DNA results never lie, and the judge is ready to give her verdict about the whole case. Here it comes.
Mr. Williams or Mr. Spencer is the father of 1-year-old Kamariana Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer. Mr. Williams or Mr. Spencer is the father of 1-year-old Kamarion Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.